everybody, I'm Jammer, as a me, in Mario Maker 2. And today we're going to be taking a look at my first ever level I finally uploaded. It took me pretty much a week, 4 days straight of balancing, testing, trying to make sure it's all right. And here it is, my first ever stage, Climb Celeste Mountain. This is obviously paying tribute and takes a lot of inspiration from the indie game called Celeste. So if you haven't already, definitely check it out. The course ID is right here on the screen. I encourage you to go and play it for yourself before I showcase it here. Not necessarily that there's any really spoilers for the level. It's really just figuring out how the platform is gonna work, kind of like how when you're playing Celeste. So if you want to go into it completely blind, I encourage you, yes, to play it first before this video. But without further ado, here is my playthrough of this stage. So that is climbing Celeste Mountain. Let's take a look and break it down, what it kind of looks like all behind the scenes. So the beginning of the stage, I really wanted to represent, we got Celeste Mountain obviously here in the background. And I wanted to kind of give a little intro to a prologue, because my idea for the whole stage, as you saw through the gameplay, is I really want it to be a vertically climbing level, like you're climbing up a mountain. But to kind of get there, you need a sub, to get to a sub area. I didn't want to make this area too dramatic. So the idea was like, okay, I'll recreate the prologue. You got these couple of platforms here, Snow Peach here to represent Madeline. You got the little snow that falls on you, like in the prologue of the game. And of course, you have the iconic bridge section. Initially, I was going to use like P switches and whatever, and maybe make it so it actually falls out underneath you. But, I wanted, like I said, I want to make this section relatively short because you're going to be replaying it a lot until you obviously get to the first checkpoint. So I wanted to make that a quick breeze easy, but it's still, I felt it was pretty thematic, and you still have the looming mountain in the background. Anyways, let's actually get into the mountain itself. The idea of the stage was to really focus on just the difficulty of the level being the platforming, like Celeste. There's no enemies. There's nothing to worry about there. And like Celeste, I really wanted to focus on single screen platforming puzzles. So as you can see, this whole puzzle, you know, getting from the start all the way up to here is solvable in one tile of the screen. Move up the next tile, and this section is solvable in one tile of the screen. And originally, my first version of this stage actually was gonna be doors, and each section would be going up as it would, but it just didn't feel right, and obviously I ran out of doors because I wanted the stage to be a lot longer. So the difference between obviously Mario and Celeste, you know, their moveset's different. So, you know, Mario doesn't have an air dash. It has, you know, the air spin where you kind of halt in air, but nothing to really perfectly replicate what Celeste has. But beyond that, they have a single jump. You know, they also have a lot of wall jumps, and they use a lot of mid-air techniques to kind of maneuver around platforms to use wall jumping. So that was really the focus of this stage. I of course have the instant death spikes just like in Celeste, but obviously here in Mario, there's not a checkpoint every single time you got to a new room. So the difficulty is a lot more extreme here than it would be in Celeste, because you have to go long sections of you know, rooms before you can actually get to your first checkpoint here in this door, which we'll go into in a second. Initially, like when I was, you know, it was a room by room basis, you know, there'd be spikes all along here. But I thought, you know, to kind of give you that feeling of climbing a mountain, I thought it would be a really cool idea is, you know, rather than completely punishing the player with spikes constantly, perhaps, you know, if you fail this platforming section, you can fall down to here, and all you have to do is just redo some progress to make your way back up again. I really like that idea of, you know, the player isn't necessarily punished by starting over, but just by backtracking, you have to compete starting over. Obviously, there has to be some spikes here and there to, you know, inhibit players to, you know, to cheat your way up the sections, and obviously still pose difficulty. One thing I do want to mention is the red coins. If anyone has a question about it, they're supposed to be representative of the collectible strawberries that are in, you know, the original Celeste game. Completely optional, there for just fun. I was gonna maybe put, you know, the big fat coins or something for a second there, but you know, it's strawberries, so I kind of had these red coins better represented. Really, this purpose they only serve is to serve, you know, more difficulty, just like in the original Celeste. Strawberries are just there for, you know, if you want an extra challenge. You'll get a better ending, quote unquote, just like you would here, but you can still beat the stage and game without collecting any of them. Notice a lot of the rooms at the beginning of the stage have these little columns that you would climb up, similar to, you know, like in Celeste. At the end of the first couple of state levels or rooms in the Forsaken City had these kind of, you know, columns that you would wall jump up. So I really wanted to try to replicate it as best as I could. This is kind of to be a representative like an air dash in a way, and I intentionally put these spikes here because of how slippery the stage is. If you overextend, you'll slide right into this, and especially because the checkpoint's right here, I really wanted to make, you know, the last puzzle right before it a rather challenging one, because I wanted the achievement of reaching the checkpoint to feel, you know, satisfying. Because if you really look at it, you only go through four rooms of platforming before you get to the checkpoint, which is relatively quick if you think about it, but you have to completely restart the stage every time before you get to it. Anyways, let's go to the first checkpoint, which originally wasn't even here. But I thought it'd be a cool little Easter egg to give a checkpoint, kind of make it easier, but also representative of the first time you meet Theo. This is kind of representative of Theo. Here's his fire, you know, and it kind of feels like, you know, coming outside of a cave. You know, still got the rest of the summit on the side here. You know, a moment to kind of breathe and relax before you have to go back at it and keep climbing up the stage. Making our way up, I start experimenting more with like the springs. Like we've been so used to, you know, all you do with these previous springs, you kind of just run into it and it'll give you the auto trajectory you would need to make it over. Here, I wanted the player to kind of learn that, okay, you need to be able to control your aerial maneuverability to jump over. You can't just run into this, you'll jump into these spikes. You kind of got to jump, float over. And this idea is later carried over into a later room. Similar idea to that, this room is repeated actually in this exact same stage, where, you know, you start on a platform here, you jump over the spike column to then land underneath to then wall jump over and make your way across. But obviously you have the assist of this wall here, and platforms to walk underneath. Skipping ahead a bit to show where it repeats, right at the end, right before you make it to the next checkpoint, is actually the same room, kind of. You know, you have this upper area, a spike gotta jump over, but this time you don't have anything to wall jump off here, and you have no kind of platforms to walk on. You have to rely on completely stopping your air momentum and wall jumping across. I think it's like an evolution of this original platforming design. This room kind of builds off this room a little bit, you know, with the spikes if you have too much momentum. Similar to in here, where if you have too much momentum, you will slide into this little hole, fall into these spikes, or you'll completely miss the platform and fall into the spikes. So you have to be very careful, jump through the hole, land perfectly here and ride it up or jump up, whatever. Now here's the full progression of the springs of this section. You know, you have this long jump of a spring with spikes on either side all over the place, and you have to land perfectly on a note block to make your way back up to this one. Not too difficult, you actually get the timing right, but it's the, again, natural progression of that platforming section. Then finally we get to this section, which I barely talked about, and you're here, where you're like, oh, I made it to the top, but all you know is, nope, you only made it up the middle of the mountain, now you gotta make your way up to the summit. Also, this Goomba here is pseudo representative of Battle Line, kind of just a little mini Easter egg. I don't know, I just thought because it had an angry face, and you know, Mario didn't really make sense, obviously. So let's make our way to the rest, up to the summit of the stage. And I recreated, obviously, here's the column you climbed up, here's the little opening in there, Battle Line again. And this is where the fun begins. Honestly, I feel like this section's actually a little bit easier than the entrance. But as you can see, you know, the platforms really start to thin out. And I like the idea of that, you know, because like at the beginning of the stage, obviously was much more structured. There's a lot more ground to like kind of hang out on, you know. And now that we're getting to the peak of the mountain, it's really, this is where the stage really starts to thin out. And there's really not much safe area for Madeline to keep climbing. This is honestly the hardest jump of this entire area, because you have to wait to the last second here to make sure you can wall jump perfectly off this. So that's why the checkpoint's obviously right here. This wall jump and then this long jump kind of is teaching you a different strategy. Rather than, you know, doing your air spin as immediately as possible, you actually have to delay your air spin until you're maybe past the spikes actually. And here's the ultimate difficulty of the springs that we've been introducing. This section is pretty easy. I probably could have put springs all the way across, but I wanted it to be nice. And since, you know, obviously, to even upload and clear this course, you have to beat the entire course all the way through with no checkpoints. So yeah, I needed a little bit of a break so I could actually even beat it in the first place. But here's really tricky. I always take my timer a lot when I'm doing this part of the section because, you know, you gotta be very careful to make sure you actually, you know, you gotta do your last air spin, like last second, get over this lip and make sure you bounce over perfectly. But honestly, once you get to this part, I personally feel like it gets a lot easier because a lot of the design of this area is like perfectly in tune with Mario's movement. You know, you got this wall jump, 3 air dashes represented with the 3 coins, the swing, which can sometimes be kind of hard to get the right momentum, but once you get the wall jump up here, boom, air dash all the way over, across, boom, boom. And initially, this was just a music block on top of this. There wasn't even like a ledge and a spring, you know? Oh, no, it was way too hard. I would just fall down, land on these spikes. It was a mess, you know? So it just made more sense to give you a little bit of a break and then kind of, again, using that idea from this previous room back over here where you have to control your jump, you know, and jump over the spikes. But this time you have to wall jump, you know, and make your way back. And this is the part of the section, especially once at this point, this is where the stage is just all about momentum. You know, there's not much time to take breaks. It's time. This is the moment. You're almost at the peak. You get to this section, wall jump over, delay your spin, and then you got these 2 air dashes or the swings you got to make through these spikes. It's pretty easy to get through, but sometimes you can get tricked up. But once you wall jump off here, honestly, I feel like you're home free. Momentum, jump over. You get this quick wall jump, a delayed spin, so you can make sure you get over this last spike, but you have to keep your momentum to actually make it to the swinger, because if you don't, you'll wall jump underneath it, you won't actually make it all the way to the swinger to finally get it. But once you're in the swinger, it's so easy. Swing, boom, it just automatically locks in, and then the music cuts out. You're in this area, it's completely quiet, because you know you've made it. You can't go back down anymore, so I made it sure so then, you know, if a player can't fall back down, obviously you have to jump up from the little ladder, or the bridge there. But once you're here, you're in safety, and you know, and obviously here's where you would go to finish the level, but if you got all the strawberries, you can see the little Easter egg, which I'll show you right now. It just takes you up to the top of the stage to a little bonus room. I thought it'd be a cute Easter egg. Here's got like you got the strawberry with wings represented right here, and you just get like 1-ups and coins, whatever, and you kind of just, that's, you know, it's just supposed to be a little fun thing. It can boost your score a bunch, so, you know, for the players who actually go for all the strawberries in the stage, they can actually get, you know, they'll be able to easily get the high score of the level, you know, getting bragging rights, basically. And that's kind of the point of what the strawberries were like in Celeste anyways, where, you know, getting all the strawberries was really just bragging rights and, you know, feeling more accomplished. It was hard to decide what the reward would be getting for the strawberries, but I didn't want to make it too crucial. I didn't want to make it like a shortcut or anything, because I didn't want to make it, you know, essential to beating the level. I just wanted it to be like a fun little Easter egg. But anyways, this is it. We get to the end of the level, and this is when the music cuts out and it's all peaceful. You have Celeste mounted in the background, and interestingly, intentionally, this is the first and only time you see slopes in the whole stage. This was actually intentional, because obviously you could see in previous sections I could have easily put in slopes or something like that, but I really wanted the jaggedness of the edges of the platforms throughout the climb up to the summit to, you know, kind of inflict stress in the player, you know, because once you get to hear and see the first round edges of the entire stage, it gives you more of a soothing feeling because, you know, you're finally in safety. You know, there's nothing, no sharp edges. It's completely smoothed out, and there's no way for the player to die now. You're completely safe. You made it. Like, you did it. You made it to the top. You made it to the peak. And obviously at the end, we have, of course, Madeline again here at the flag, reflecting over her journey. Unfortunately, there's a stupid pine tree in the way, so you can't actually see the summit in that angle. But you made it. You made it to the end of the stage. Your journey is over. And that's it. That is my Celeste stage. Yes, it's supposed to be a difficult stage, but I think it's quite fair, especially with the checkpoints, because with the checkpoints, it makes the stage immensely easier. Honestly, trying to beat it without checkpoints is where the difficulty really kicks in. Uploading this thing was a pain in the butt, but I'm really proud of it. Each room is like very carefully designed with its platforming, as well as like placements of coins to give hints for players to where to go. I really put my heart into this stage to like really make sure it was not only reflective of the original game being Celeste, but also, you know, making sense in a Mario context and just being a good designed level. So yeah, I really encourage you, please go play my level, give it a like, leave it a comment, try it out. I think it's a really fun level and it's a really good challenge. So far, I mean, we've only had like, what, 2 clears. The world record is almost 20 minutes. So there's plenty more records still to make. I'd love to see you guys try out the stage, and definitely if you make it to the bonus room, if you get all the strawberries, I'd love to see, like, take a screenshot of it, send it to me on Twitter or something like that. I'll definitely retweet or feature you in the next video or something. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to give this video a big, awesome like, and if you haven't already, definitely subscribe for tons more on Super Mario Maker. We're gonna be doing a live stream soon, probably this weekend. I'll let you know. Be sure to follow me over on Twitter or join our Discord where we share stages, and obviously you can get constant updates to, you know, all that's going on over here. Thanks again, guys, so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. See ya!